and it's my pleasure to present Dr. Sylvain Charlebois of Dalhousie University in Halifax. Dr. Charlebois is the former Dean of the Faculty of Management of Dalhousie and currently a professor in food distribution and policy in the faculties of Management and Agriculture, as well as being the Senior Director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University. Before joining Dalhousie, he was affiliated with the University of Guelph's Arel Food Institute, which he co-founded. While at the University of Guelph, he was also the Associate Dean of Research for the College of Business and Economics. Known as the Food Professor, his current research interests lie in the broad area of food distribution, security, and safety. He's one of the world's most cited scholars in food supply chain management, food value chains, and traceability. He has authored 5 books on the global food system, his most recent one published in 2017 by Wiley-Blackwell entitled Food Safety, Risk Intelligence, and Benchmarking. He has also published over 500 peer-reviewed journal articles in several academic publications. Furthermore, his research has been featured in various newspapers and media groups, including The Economist, The New York Times, The Boston Globe, The Wall Street Journal, The Washington Post, BBC, NBC, ABC, Fox News, Foreign Affairs, and the Globe and Mail, the National Post, and Toronto Star. Dr. Charlebois will be presenting on 2020 food trends from hemp and cannabis opportunities to plant-based proteins. I very much look forward to this presentation, and it is a true honor to welcome Dr. Charlebois as our keynote speaker this morning. Dr. Charlebois.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the clicker?
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Well, thank you. You didn't have to read all this, by the way. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to come back to the Prairies. 3 of my kids were born in the Prairies. We lived in Saskatchewan for 7 years, and it's the capital of sunshine in Halifax. We don't get any sunshine from November to May. And Alex, you're an alum of Dal, aren't you? Yeah. And he knows that it's in Nova Scotia, not in New Brunswick or anywhere else. Sometimes I get it. It's not just Donald Trump that doesn't know his geography. Some other Canadians actually don't know their geography either. I deliver keynotes once in a while, but I rarely actually speak before the minister. Typically, it's the other way around. So thank you so much for leaving my spot, being first to talk this morning. Speaking of politics, the Iowa primaries actually happened last night. What a nail-biter, wasn't it? Do you know who won? Donald Trump, exactly. Donald Trump won last night, unfortunately or fortunately. Politics, of course, is a big deal, in agriculture. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about politics this morning, because I know amongst you guys, you often talk about politics. We have a lot to cover this morning. I'm going to present you with some data about a lot of different trends, consumer trends. Consumers are really hard to follow these days. They're going in different directions, and consumers are really forcing agriculture to think differently about the market. And I'm going to start here, which really is a fundamental shift. For the longest time, I've been at this for about 20 years, for the longest time, we've always seen a consumer owning a stomach. And we have to fill that stomach as much as possible with the food we produce, whether it's grains, beef, pork, chicken, it doesn't matter. We are always thinking about stomach share, right? Not necessarily value, but stomach share. You win, I lose. I lose, you win. That's basically what it's been for the longest time. We haven't really told ourselves that story, but that's really what's been happening the last 50, 70 years in Canada. But because of what's happening with proteins, for example, because of what's happening with consumer trends, Now we have to look at value. And what I'm seeing right now in the prairies will last 24 months, even last week, always great announcements about value add. Finally, we're getting there. And we'll review some of that stuff, and I'll explain to you why these initiatives, Nestle in Manitoba, the milk plant in Alberta, why these initiatives matter so much for ag economy, given the fact that consumer is no longer the owner of a stomach for us. It's not no longer about stomach share, it's about value. How we actually sell value, attributes, benefits to consumers. But there's always interesting things happening in the wonderful world of food. The Timbit cereal. Who has tried the Timbit cereal?
I have to admit I did.
You did? You're shy? What'd you think?
I bought them for my grandchildren.
Which one did you try?
The vanilla one.
The birthday cake one. Yeah. And was it good?
No.
It was not good. No. It wasn't. Anybody else? Yes. Did you enjoy it? You bought it for yourself, didn't you? I have 4 kids, and yes, I bought a box, and it lasted a breakfast. That's it. Did they like it? Well, they're kids. It's sugar, of course. And it says birthday cake on the box. Who doesn't like birthday cake? But here's the thing. Here's a question for you. Why did this happen? Why did Tim Hortons partner with Post to commercialize a cereal like this, even though I think in the entire room we kind of agree that this may not be good for you? But it did happen. Why did it happen? Why do Timbit cereals exist? And in some places, they've sold out. There's a market. Why is there a market? You what?
People like Timbits.
Of course we do. But that's not all. What's the synergy here? What's the lesson to be learned with the Timbit cereal that just happened a couple of weeks ago?
They're not having breakfast at home.
They're not having breakfast at home. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're always moving. We don't eat at home anymore. We don't cook. We don't cook. Who actually got a cookbook for Christmas? Here. Me, but is he going to say something nasty? You have a 60% chance of re-gifting that cookbook. Yeah. So I did say something nasty. But we look at pictures, we look at shows, we spend little time in the kitchen. In Calgary, there are apartments being rented without a stove. Stoveless apartments. In Toronto, I saw an ad, $3,200 for 1 month, a 600 square feet apartment, stoveless. Who needs a stove when you have Uber Eats? Skip the dishes. Oh, yes. Do you know how many Canadians have tried a food delivery app so far since they've existed? Over 61% now. So I look at the room, okay? 6 out of 10 in this room have tried an app. Why? You're in a hurry. You don't have time. You're in a rush. You want to indulge. Whatever reason, the food service industry is taking over. And Tim Hortons knows it, and they want your attention. They sell coffee, but they sell other things. That synergy between a brand maker, Post, and Tim Hortons is no coincidence. They actually want your eyes to look at their brand in the middle of the store, more so than just the coffee. That's why. And you're going to see more synergies between food service and the grocery store. The grocery store, grocery is suffering. Sales went up about 0.4% in 2019. Food service, restaurants, 4%. And that's why Tim Hortons or Post Post wants the attention that food service is getting. So don't be surprised to see more of these products in your grocery store. Synergies between food service and retailing. Are you guys familiar with the movement called the grocerant? The grocerant. Grocery, restaurant. Grocerant. When's the last time you went to the grocery store and there's an area now where you can sit down and eat there? And there are tons of ready-to-eat products ready for you to buy and sit down and eat there. Why would grocery stores ever want you to eat in a grocery store? That's why. Because of the 4% versus 0.4%. And let me tell you, in some parts of Canada right now, you got grocery stores with a patio and service, and they serve alcohol at Sobeys. Yeah, at Sobeys and Loblaws, Provigo. So things are really shifting fast. So to follow the consumer is not easy to do, but the big trend really is what are we doing or what are we not doing in our own kitchen. You will ask people, do you cook? Do you cook? People will say, oh yeah, I cook. But you need two things to cook. You need time and knowledge. You need to know what you're doing. You need ideas. So we actually looked at sales of instruments, things that you actually need in a kitchen in order to cook. Spatulas, mixers, whatever. Sales are all down, except for cookbooks. Oh yes. And if you look at the top 4 cookbooks in Canada, being, yikes, where are the, okay, I'm just going to stand here. Is that okay? I got a jar? Okay. If you look at the top 4 cookbooks being sold in Canada right now, okay, of the top 4, 3 of them are for which type of diet? Keto's number 4, but good guess. Yes, keto is popular. Yeah. 4% of Canadians are on keto. 9% have tried and dropped keto. 10% are thinking about it. Yeah. So if you guys don't know what keto is, basically it's a phenomena that is growing. It's basically you're forcing your body to use the fat to burn energy that you need throughout the day, basically. Okay? The keto diet is becoming popular. This is another phenomena. You got me there. The keto diet was developed 100 years ago to treat childhood diabetes. Childhood diabetes. But in 1994, some show called Dateline on NBC decided to do a feature on the keto diet, showing that if you follow the keto diet, you can lose weight. Guess what happened? It's America. Some celebrities said, I'm going to try to follow that diet. And you got a bunch of celebrities who lost a ton of weight to do movies here and there, and they talked about the keto diet. And since then, it's been crazy. You go into a store now, you see keto-friendly. Keto-friendly for 4% of the population. But why do you think it's a good thing? It's a good thing because it's forcing the industry to innovate. We're recognizing a potential. We're recognizing an opportunity. Look at the non-gluten-free or the gluten-free phenomena. Most people who are buying non-gluten products don't need it. But it became a $5 billion business in Canada because there was an opportunity. And now you still have substandard products out there that are gluten-free, but you have some really good products because of R&D. And when I look at vegan, and these are the top 3 cookbooks in Canada. It's actually Two of them are for vegans. One of them is to raise vegans as parents. I grew up on a farm in Quebec. I didn't know what a vegan was in those days. And now, I mean, vegans are vocal. They're almost socially normalized across the country. I mean, in a nice way. But really, and I do believe that vegans are doing something positive about our conversation related to food, how we innovate as an industry, how do we see consumers. We asked Canadians about a month ago, what do you intend to do with food over the next year in 2020? And these are the results that we got. I'm just going to focus on one result, and hopefully I have actually on the left, you have the number one answer, which we did not expect, and people are thinking about food waste. They want to waste less food. We thought that we would hear something like, I want to go on a diet, I want to eat more fruits and vegetables. No. People want to waste less food. That's the number one choice Canadians made as a food resolution for 2020. Why do you think that is? I'm asking you a question. Why do you think? How did that happen? Food waste, food costs, absolutely. Now, at Dalhousie, we actually monitor food prices and we predict food prices. In 2020, we actually expect food prices or the food inflation rate to exceed the general inflation rate for the 4th year in a row. So Canadians actually start to feel that they're falling behind, unfortunately. So that's one reason why. Of course, number 2 is eat more fruits and vegetables. Number 3 is cooking. We want to cook more next year, right? But based on our data, wanting to cook more is the new I want to stop smoking in the 1980s. It's not going to happen because of our daily lives. We have responsibilities. We do different things. I wanted to show you some actual data of what actually has happened in 2019 in grocery stores. And I want to give you a few examples to give you a sense that really things are changing pretty quickly. Meat sales are down, $165 million. Surprised? You're not? No? Not shocking? Beef, of course, has been down for a while. But that money, the $165 million, is going elsewhere. Where is it going? Well, apparently it's going to vegetables. Vegetable sales are up. Now, prices were up significantly, so in volume, it may not be. These are sales in dollars. 6.3%. People are eating more vegetables despite the recalls we saw with romaine lettuce last year. Consumers stuck to it, which is good. Egg sales are up 60 million. It's an animal protein. But egg sales are up. We dug deeper into that story. What do you think we found? Why do you think egg sales are... Any egg farmers in the room here? No? Why do you think egg sales are up? There's an interesting story here for all of us. Convenience? In what way? It's portable? Easy to eat? Yes, absolutely. What else? Diabetes? Yes. I thought you were going to say keto. Keto. Yes.
Well, for a long time, the publicity was eggs are bad for you. And then recently, they've kind of said, no, eggs aren't bad for you.
That's right.
So I think a lot of people...
You got to love science for that, right? Tit or tat. This year, it's good. Actually, there was a study on meat the other day. Of course, before Christmas, you heard that meat was good again? Huh? Let's make meat good again? Great again. Yes, absolutely. The first author of that study was from Dal, by the way. And, but he actually was criticized. And of course, as soon as you publish a study, let me tell you, I publish studies. If you publish studies suggesting that meat is okay or something, you just tweet something about meat positively, you get just hammered. My God. There are 465,000 vegans in Canada. All of them are on Twitter. All of them. And so when you have a narrative related to meat in a positive way, you just get attacked. And of course, so science, what we forget sometimes is that science is not an absolute. So yeah, eggs, yeah, were bad and now they're good. It's okay. And we need to learn from science. So yes, eggs are getting a good rap. But what else? There's another more important phenomena that actually occurred the last few years that really helped eggs in sales. The Canada Food Guide change? Well, there's an egg there. Yeah, absolutely. And to a certain extent, you're probably right. But that's not the #1 driver.
Specialty eggs was like omega-3s and...
Specialty eggs, they've been around for a while, though. But what happened in 2019? You what?
Animal welfare?
Animal welfare? Yeah. People, activists are concerned about cage chicken, so there's more free range now and cage-free chickens. Organic? Yes, organic is a big one.
All-day breakfast. All-day breakfast.
Thank you. That's the one I was looking for. This is, for me, it's huge. All-day breakfast. McDonald's a couple of years decided to offer breakfast all day to Canadians. Other chains follow suit. Guess what happened with consumers and their psyche around eggs? They're thinking of eggs all day long now. It's not for breakfast. It's for lunch, dinner, snacks. It's portable. It's nutritious. It's everything. So what happened to eggs can happen to any commodity. You can repurpose a commodity in consumers' minds. Anything is possible. Oh, steak, you can only eat that at dinner. No, you can eat beef all day long if you want. You just need a strategy. But more importantly, the story about eggs is food service. For the longest time, Loblaws, Sobeys, Metro, Walmart, Costco, you name it, they were driving the agenda. They were dictating what we were eating forever. But because of social media, because of how food service has decided to embrace some opportunities, now food service is driving the agenda. Look at eggs. Look at Beyond Meat. Who brought Beyond Meat to Canada? A&W. There is an A&W right next door to this hotel. And the parking lot is full. People love that stuff, the Beyond Burger. And 6 months later, all retailers carried the Beyond Meat product. It's incredible. Eggs, tofu's up. So good news for soya producers, and kombucha. I do not get kombucha. I don't understand that. Any kombucha drinkers? Yeah?
What is kombucha?
Fermented juice. Yummy. You just put it on the counter, wait a while, and you have a beer. But kombucha, I mean, I'm laughing, but kombucha actually is a phenomenon. As a numbers guy, I look for a couple of things. If StatsCan starts a new category for a product, that's a sign. If AC Nelson creates a category for a product, that's a sign. That's what happened to kombucha in 2019. So it is still relatively a small number, but it's growing. You go to a bar now, you have kombucha on tap. I'm sure it is like that in Alberta. You what? I tried it once. And I just couldn't finish the bottle. And these things are expensive. It's like $5. So there's money to be made. If there's money to be made, I would go for it, So plant-based, of course, we're here to talk about opportunities. And this is a big thing. A lot of people think it's a fad. It's just going to go away. Honestly, I would say you need to make a difference between Beyond Meat and plant-based. Plant-based absolutely is not going away. The numbers are pretty robust. So in November, a few months ago, we asked if Canadians actually have tried in the last month a plant-based product, 41%. So if I ask you guys, how many of them actually tried the same product a second time? How many did we get, do you think?
3/4.
It's about half. Half rebought. And in food, repeat business is incredible. It's gold. So people are buying it and rebuying it. Okay? And I don't know where you sit on this plant-based phenomena, but based on our numbers, it is not going away. Canadian companies, I am mentoring some companies. I actually work with District Ventures right here in Calgary, actually, with Arlene Dickinson. There are many startups around plant-based products, and they have a market. They're doing very well. The Beyond Meat legacy was incredible, for sure. McDonald's is actually going with Beyond Meat. Now, this story is very interesting. Right now, they're running, and if McDonald's is running a pilot with Beyond Meat, that says something. So in 41 restaurants in Southern Ontario, okay, they're the only 41 restaurants in the world, okay? They chose McDonald's Canada to test Beyond Meat in Southern Ontario, because Southern Ontario is special. Yeah, whatever, yeah. I lived in Ontario for, too many years. But it's an interesting market because there's urban, rural, there's lots going on there, Windsor, London. To be honest, actually it was a good pick for McDonald's to look at that market to see trends and things like that. And they're expanding their pilot now, which is another sign. But here's the deal. I mean, McDonald's is way too big for Beyond Meat. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go. And they've actually developed a specific product just for McDonald's. Who owns the IP? I don't know. Are they going to vertically integrate? Are they going to make their own patties? They've done it before. They could do it again. But let me tell you, as soon as McDonald's announces that they're going plant-based, it's going to be an absolute game changer for the meat counter, for our relationship with proteins in general. This is not a Tim Hortons play, okay? Tim Hortons' game are not proteins, okay? If you think, oh, Tim Hortons actually ditched Beyond Meat, it's just a fad, I wouldn't read it that way. Tim Hortons is a mess. It's trying all sorts of things. It has confused the market, and Beyond Meat was part of that. And now it's gone. It's out. But McDonald's, proteins are their thing. So Burger King is with Impossible Foods, but this is going to be a close one to watch. The biggest problem, I think, and we're all suffering from it, is how Beyond Meat sold its product to the world. And I circled one word here, and it's better. So Beyond Meat has been around since 2008. It's been 12 years, okay? They've been in operation. And we only heard about them just a few years ago because they became public. But they were obsessed with the idea of comparing themselves with beef. And I think this is what's going to change over time, which will create an opportunity for a lot of you in this room, is that plant-based will have its own flavor, its own taste, its own culture. Beef is different. Beef is a natural unprocessed product. How can you possibly compare beef with a plant-based product? And so they created the problem, which is why 2019 was, I call it the protein war, but really it divided people. And going back to my stomach share analogy, food shouldn't be dividing people. Food should be uniting people. We shouldn't be thinking about, oh, if that person eats Beyond Meat, that person is going to eat less beef. That's not how it works anymore in people's minds. It's different. The relationship that Canadians have with beef is changing, has always been changing. It's a premium product. It's a beautiful product. You can sell it differently. It can be seen differently by the market. Same goes for plant-based products. There's an opportunity there for you as well, for the industry. And so I think we're going to start moving away from that and perhaps look at the market differently. Market fragmentation. So this is what's going on right now around the country. And it's changing so fast, you wouldn't believe it. And the one thing that's changing fast are consumers with dietary preferences. So these are 5 columns, 5 different generations. The reds are before, people are born before 1946. The greens, boomers, purple, X's, the blue, millennials, and Generation Zs are the orange. Look at the number of millennials and Generation Zs with no dietary preferences versus X's, boomers, and so on and so forth. You can tell that really, and millennials are becoming more influential. There are more millennials and boomers in the market. I see some millennials in the room. And they are the first generation to tell the food industry, you know what? What you're doing is not good enough. It's not enough. Do more. Do things differently. There are more people, and they're not young anymore. If you think they're young, I mean, the oldest millennial today is 40 years old. 40. They're not kids. They have kids. So you have to really think about this as a huge change. In 10 years from now, millennials will be 50 and down, and they'll have more money and more influence, so they'll expect more things. I'm an Xer. You know, Cheese Whiz was cheese when I grew up. I learned that the hard way that it wasn't. And, you know, it was just different. Mac and cheese. I mean, all of the things that we took for granted in the middle of the store became an issue for the younger generations. And thank goodness. Thank goodness. We eat better. We have better food now. But when I look at the prairies, and I lived in the prairie for 7 years, I saw so much potential. It was from 2003 to 2010. I saw so much potential in food processing. My goodness, we can feed the world. We can become a powerhouse. And we export a lot, but we export mostly commodities. We can actually see the world. We can see stomachs very differently. 16.5 million Canadians are actually going to be reducing the amount of meat they eat, or they'll eliminate meat from their diets altogether. And that number is increasing by 2025. So it's shifting. It's changing really, really fast. And I think, personally, based on what I've seen in the last 12 to 24 months in the prairies, we actually are well on our way to adapt, to follow this. Absolutely. What bothers me a lot is that Central Canada doesn't care doesn't hear your story. And I'm always upset because I talk about, you know.
But that's not new.
I know it's not new. I know. But it upsets me because there's so much happening in the prairies that deserves attention. And there's so much noise in Toronto about Doug Ford and who else is in power that we're really missing what we can do as a country in food, I think. Shifting gears here, let's talk. I was asked to talk about cannabis. I didn't know how to put it in there somewhere. It's a high priority, I guess, for you guys. No pun. Cannabis. Any cannabis growers here? Legal cannabis? Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we all can be users. I don't use cannabis. I'm not a cannabis expert. Of course, I look at cannabis through edibles, and I talk to companies, food companies looking at cannabis. And let me tell you, there's a lot of interest, but a lot of people are staying on the sidelines, for sure. Because why? Because regulations are so restrictive by design. Health Canada, when you go to Health Canada in Ottawa, they wanted this to happen. They wanted restrictions. They wanted to decriminalize cannabis. They didn't want to legalize it. They just wanted to decriminalize it. They missed an opportunity. And I think things are going to change a little bit. But the one message I have for you this morning on cannabis is that, well, two messages. One, because of a highly restrictive regulatory framework, the black market will remain predominant for a very long time. So we ran our numbers through our model here. And let me tell you, by 2025, you'll still see a black market overtake the legal market. That's the reality. That's the big fight right now. Prices are too expensive for governments. And I'll be honest with you, in Alberta, I don't know what the situation is, but across the country, that's typical. But the one thing that is going to happen, that is happening right now, is that Canadians are getting smarter about cannabis. They're getting information about cannabinoids. They actually know, 3 years ago, most Canadians had no idea what the difference between THC and CBD was. No idea. And I think in the program we're talking about cannabis later, are we? Or hemp? No? Let's talk about hemp then. Hemp has CBD. Cannabis has CBD. And CBD can actually relieve you from pain, can make you healthier without getting high. And you're seeing more and more companies looking at CBD much more seriously as a potent cannabinoid and to market cannabis-infused products. You're seeing it in beverage. Molson Coors already they've launched products. It's great. I honestly believe there's an opportunity here for Canada, whether or not, and with hemp growers in particular, because of all the noise around cannabis, there's so much restrictions around cannabis, I think there's a door there for you guys in hemp. That's my own personal opinion. So processing, big deal. So some stories we've heard in the prairies so far, there's Roquette, there's Merritt, there's Nelson in Manitoba. I've been to Manitoba 4 times in the last year. Lots going on, but there's also a lot of great things going on in Alberta, the Western Milk Pool. Processing and dairy, yes, excellent. And we actually faced a bit of a crisis a few years ago with the African milk coming from the U.S. This will allow, not only farmers, but also the entire sector, dairy sector, to be better supported and become less vulnerable. The more you invest in processing, the more you control your agri-food destiny. The more you control, the more you have power over everything. And the more you can actually get rid of tensions within the supply chain between farmers and processors and distributors. The more you control that, the better. And that's what I'm seeing, more activity in processing in the prairies in the last 12 months to 18 months than anywhere else in the country, including Ontario. Ontario is bleeding jobs in food processing. Ontario lost 22,000 jobs in food processing in the last 5 years. Did you guys know that? You are creating jobs because you have access to the ingredients. It's all around us. Perfect. When I was living here, that's what I saw. And I spoke to Lyle Stewart, actually, about this many times when I was in Saskatchewan. And I'm so happy with what's going on. This is great, and we need more and more. The other issue is our margins. So you're wondering, well, who cares about processing? Am I going to make money? Here's the deal. We actually looked at margins for farmers. Most of you are farmers, right? The margin for farmers in a retail store is about 20%. So you walk into a grocery store, for every dollar, on average, 20% goes to the farmer. On average. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher. But in food service, remember at the beginning I told you, that shift, 4%, 0.4%? In food service, producers get 4%, not 20. Okay? Now you think, well, there's wine, there's service, I get it, but there's less money. And if you don't look at processing seriously, it's harder to capitalize on that momentum around food service. And guess what's going on with our food dollars? How much do we spend at the restaurant right now as Canadians? Do you guys know? Do you have any idea of how much you actually spend on processed foods consumed outside the home?
20%.
Higher. It is 37%. The Americans, where's America? This way or that way? That way. I got in last night, it was dark. Montana, they spend 54% of their budget in food service. Okay? They've been at 50-50 since 2016. But we're catching up to the Americans right now. We believe that by 2032, Canadians will spend half of their money on food outside the home, on food processed and consumed outside the home. Are we ready for that? How different is it, really, when you eat outside the home versus at home? Do you buy the same food? Of course not. You don't buy the same food. You don't consume the food the same way. Huh? And the other phenomena happening from a demographic perspective is with whom we eat. 41% of Canadians eat food most of the time alone. And we expect that that's going to continue to go up. Do you eat the same way when you're alone versus when you're with your family and friends or at work? I do it as well. I eat in front of my computer. Yes. I eat alone a lot. I travel. But this is the reality. Right now, 28% of all households is occupied by one person. By 2030, that's going to go up to 33%. It's only going to grow. So as you think, the plant-based phenomena, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. It's amazing. There's an economic theory about choice. The more choice you provide to consumers, the more likely you will increase the probability of selling something. And this is what's kind of going on right now. In agri-food, we think we'll grow it, demand will come. We grow, they will come. It doesn't work that way anymore because of social media. That power has shifted from supply to demand. Because of social media, consumers can talk to each other. can impose new rules, can set new standards, can set new expectations quickly. I mean, the French's ketchup incident a few years ago was, and even Earl's here. Can you imagine a chain owner of 65 restaurants changing its mind in 48 hours because of social media? It's incredible. I can give you 10 examples of that have happened in Canada over the last little while. So if you don't have really the support, or you're not well organized, you become irrelevant. And you need to be ready. But I think the bottom line is choice. You're a vegan? Great. You're an omnivore? Great. How can we make money with an omnivore? How can we make more money with an omnivore? How can we make more money with a vegan? A pescatarian? A flexitarian? A common sensitarian? Do you guys know what a flexitarian is? It's really all of us, really. You know? They define it as such. They say a flexitarian is someone that deliberately reduces his or her amount of meat they consume for one reason or another. But we can all do that, right? A flexitarian is a label more and more people give themselves. They'll go meatless during the week, and they'll run right back to the barbecue on the weekend. So that's a flexitarian. A pescatarian, fish, eggs. And they outnumber vegans, by the way. Yeah. Are they on Twitter? I have no idea. Do you know what the difference between a vegan and a pescatarian? If you meet a vegan, they'll tell you they're vegan in 2 minutes. It's incredible. I'm at the airport last night at Calgary. Somebody actually recognized me. And it's, oh, Mr. Charlebois, how are you? I'm a vegan. it's their identity, you know? It's really incredible. I don't think you saw that 5 years ago. And what's in store in 5 years from now? It's going to be different. And like I said, this is good. This is not bad. This is good. People identify with their diets. You're meeting someone for 2 minutes at an airport. The first thing they tell you is that this is who I am. And they're using a diet to describe to you, a stranger, exactly who they are. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? That's how I see it, as I continue to eat my steak, of course. So, being distinctive, recognizing how different you are in terms of products is very important. Choice, distinctiveness, key for the future of agri-food. So I think we've just finished a couple of great years, despite the geopolitics and trades, and I know with grains it's been tough and all that, but I think there are a lot of positives. And this is not just Canada. I went to Europe in the fall. They're going through the same thing. Same thing. Okay? This is the Western world phenomena. Okay? And I think we should take advantage of it. And the more we do it, the better. I'm running out of time, but the one last thing I want to talk about briefly is artificial intelligence. And I don't think it's on your program, but this is going to be key for many companies. And I want to use this one example from Sobeys called the Smart Cart. I don't know if you heard about the Smart Cart. The Smart Cart is a cart you actually get at Sobeys in one store in Oakville right now. It's a pilot. You walk in, you grab a Smart Cart. It's made by Caper. It's an American company, but the founder is from Edmonton in New York. So this cart, which is worth about $5,000, you walk around in a store and you grab stuff and you just put it in your cart. As you put stuff in your cart, tomatoes, celery, whatever, it tallies your total up automatically. They weigh It will weigh your tomatoes. You don't have to worry about anything, okay? And of course, as you go along, based on what you're buying, a machine will tell you, maybe you should be cooking this tonight. Maybe you should be cooking that tonight. And there's a built-in GPS on the cart. And with the GPS, they'll tell you where to get different ingredients you haven't bought yet, right? And the more you use these carts, he's laughing, it's true, technology is taking over. And as you go through the store, you take what you want. Then, of course, what's the worst part of grocery shopping? Cashier. I hate waiting to pay for my food. But this cart allows you to shoplift your way to the parking lot. You load up your car, and you leave the car behind, and off you go. It's deducted from your bank account automatically. Let me ask you this question. Why do you think Sobeys is doing this? Going back to artificial intelligence. It's convenient for us, for sure, absolutely. Because you give me convenience, and I give you, yes, money, but most importantly, data. Data. This is the game, right? They say that data is the new oil. It's been like that for a while. You go through the store, built-in GPS. You stop. You look at something. You grab something. You put something back on a shelf. You look at another brand. You walk 2-3 seconds. That's data. That's unbelievable, powerful data. And retailers are going after it, processors as well. And let me tell you, grab that data, you'll be in front. You'll be ahead of the game. That's going to be really a big thing over the next 5 years. Thank you very much. Thank you.